terkhusus Bang Phoenix, makasih ya Bang udah bantuin. Jadi posisi Abang di sini. Selain ngebantu teman-teman round 2, Bang Phoenix juga nanti bakal ngasih sedikit eh, saran saran dan komentar terkait perdebatan kali ini. Oke, em, karena udah aman kan Bang? Posisinya Bang?
Oh, oh ya.
Oke, karena Bang Phoenix juga sudah aman, jadi kita akan memulai perdebatan kita. Aku bakal set up timer dulu ya. Mungkin buat teman-teman eh, kelompok 2, eh, diingatkan nanti ketika kita mulai perdebatan diharapkan semuanya on cam, juga gunakan atribut teman-teman semuanya, karena ini juga sekaligus kita power up session ya untuk minggu ini. Rian lagi ketemu Deddy Kobuser ya.
Iya, Miss.
Oke. Em, jadi kita akan melakukan sesi case building terlebih dahulu. Untuk sesi case building dilakukan selama 15 menit. Tolong selama case building teman-teman diharapkan untuk mempersiapkan teks perdebatannya, juga mempersiapkan alat tulisnya, dan case building akan kita mulai dalam 3, 2, 1. Oh iya, posisinya bentar ya Bang, lupa banget. Oh ya guys, di akhir kita bakal ada quiz ya. Karena waktunya tinggal 6 menit lagi, aku mau minta bantuan buat teman-teman dari ronde satu yang tadi udah mengikuti perdebatan. Hmm, Perwakilan satu cewek dan juga satu cowok nanti untuk ikut ngasih saran ke teman-teman ronde 2. Ada yang bersedia? Kalau gitu aku spin aja. Hmm, ada Abraham, Jerry, Sabrina, manajer, Nadia. Hmm, Lima. Oke. Cowoknya udah, berarti tinggal ceweknya ya. Ceweknya, ya Sabrina. Oke. Oke guys, waktunya sudah habis, jadi kita akan mulai perdebatan kita. Oke. Waktu berbicara setiap pembicara itu ada 7 menit. Interupsi bisa dilakukan uh, setelah 1 menit perdebatan. Untuk setiap pembicara silahkan diperbolehkan untuk membuat timernya sendiri. Oke, mungkin itu aja. Sedikit pengarahan. Ada yang ingin ditanyakan terkait POI?
Miss mau nanya.
Apa, Zaidan?
Oh ya, izin bertanya Miss. Ntar kalau misalnya kita udah beres bacain teksnya tapi waktunya masih ada, gimana?
Coba diulang, suaranya kurang jelas.
Kalau kita udah beres baca teksnya tapi waktunya masih ada, gimana?
Nggak apa-apa.
Langsung udahan aja atau gimana?
Iya, langsung udah aja.
Oke.
Miss mau nanya,
Ya,
ini harus full English atau boleh selang-seling?
full English. Semangat. Oke, jadi kita akan mulai perdebatan kita. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are gathered here today to observe a debate between the opening government. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are gathered here to observe a debate between the government and the opposition. On the motion, this House regret stigmatization of copy or fraudulent art. Okay, so to the government team, times is yours. Sekarang bicara pertama tim pemerintah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, honorable judge and fellow debaters. Let me permit myself. My name is Iran Akmal. So today, So today I want to talk about the issues of the stigmatization of copied or forged artworks. So I stand in firm support of the idea that artworks that are copied or forged deserve to be stigmatized. While art is a form of while art is a form of expression and creativity, it is also a product of intellectual labor, originality, and authenticity. Stigmatizing copies and forgeries is not an attack or artistic expression. It is a defense of truth, value, and integrity. And now, let me begin with my first argument, the protection of original artists and their intellectual property. Artists invest time, energy, emotion, and imagination into creating something truly unique. When their work is copied or forged, it is... Ntar bro, wait. Gue lagi Zoom. Imagination truly unique. When their work is copied or forged, it's not just about visual imitation, it is a theft of identity and effort. Like imagine working tirelessly, endlessly on a painting that affects reflects your soul, but only for someone to replicate it and claim it as their own. It was sucks, right? Uh, that's not just unethical, but it is an exploitation. By stigmatizing such practice, we're standing up for the rights of the original creators. And secondly, stigmatization maintains the value and integrity of art itself. Art has value not only because of how it looks, but because who created, when, and why. A Picasso isn't just a painting; it is a piece of history. A forged Picasso, even if visually perfect, lacks the meaning and historical significance. If we normalize or accept copied art, that means we dilute the meaning of the originality. The uniqueness of art becomes irrelevant and its value, cultural, emotion, and financial collapses. Third, uh, stigmatization plays a vital role in protecting the public and art markets from deception. Art forgery isn't a victimless crime. Many people have spent fortunes buying art turned out to be fake. Museums, collectors, and institutions rely on authenticity. Without stigma, the line between original and fake becomes blurry, and trust erodes. The stigma acts as a social warning, copying as a social warning. Copying art is not only disrespectful; it can also be a fraudulent. And now, let's address a common counterpoint. Some argue that copying art is way of learning and honoring the masters. Yes, studying and practicing by copying can be a valuable educational tool. However, that is entirely different from presenting copied piece as an original. There's a line between learning from the greats and stealing from them. The stigma not about the act of the practice, it is about deception and misrepresentation. Others may say that in the age of a digital sharing, everything is derivative and nothing is truly original anymore. But this argument actually supports the need of the stigma even more. In a world of overflowing with image and ideas, protecting originality becomes more important than ever. Stigmatization isn't about gatekeeping creativity, it is about encouraging ethical creation. Let me also be clear, the stigma serves as a social and cultural boundary, not tool for punishment. It says, if you want to create, do it honesty. If you're inspired, credit with your source. If you admire to someone's work, celebrate it, but don't you dare to copy it for personal gain. The stigma keeps the creative world honest, fair, and respectful. And last, to conclude, by stigmatizing copied and forged art, we defend originally, protect the rights of the artist, uphold cultural value, and ensure transparency. Without this stigma, we risk a world where deception becomes art and art loses its souls. Thank you.
Okay, so next uh, we call the first speaker from the opening opposition. Time is yours.
So, hi everyone, I am Elvina Butar-Butar. I'm the one of the opposition team against about stigmatization, COVID, and violent art. I think it's better to teach people and be fair about plagiarism, not just give really bad punishment to everyone without looking at why they did it, what happened, or how big the mistake was. And I think several reasons why we against the motion is the first, sometimes people plagiarize without knowing it's wrong or it's an incident. This happens a lot with students who are still learning how to write properly for school. It's not fair to give very tough punishment if they didn't mean to do it or if it was a small mistake. For the example is a new high school student has to write a long paper for the first time. They find some good sentence online and put them in their paper without saying where they came from. They might not know the rules for this or think was okay if they changed the word a little. They might not know how rules for this or think it was okay if they changed the words a little. Giving them a really bad punishment, like getting kicked out of school, might be too much for a mistake they didn't mean to make. In the second, is teaching help more than just punishing. The best way to stop plagiarism for good is to teach, not just punish. Schools should help students learn how to write well and show they, them how to check their work from copying before they hand it, instead of just punishing them after. For the example, like school could have special class to teach students about doing their own work and how to avoid copying. They could explain the different ways people copy, how to say where they get the good information, and how to use computer programs to check their works. This helps students learn the right way to do things instead of just waiting for them to make a mistake and then punish them. The third is really bad punishment can mess up student lives. One mistake on a school paper or big project could make a student lose their DJ or get kicked out of school. The punishment is too much for the mistake they made. Punishment should help them learn and fix things, not ruin their future. It's much nicer to give them a chance to learn and get better. For the example, like a student in their last year of college copy some things for the big final paper. Even though this is serious, taking away their whole degree can really hurt their chances of getting a job and having a good life. Instead, the school could give them a bad grade on the paper, make them rewrite, or make them wait longer to graduate. This still show them it was wrong, but also give them a chance to learn and move forward. So I don't think everyone who plagiarism should get a really bad punishment. I believe in being fair with punishment that fit the mistake and by teaching students so they learn and grow, not just get punishment. Thank you.
Okay, next second speaker the from the opening government.
Good night, everyone. Introduce me. I am Abdiris Widodo. As the Deputy Prime Minister, I proudly rise to reinforce the case brought forward by Prime Ministers on why copyright and forged artworks deserve to be stigmatized. Our set does not seek to restrict the creativity, we seek to protect it. We are not silencing artists, we are amplifying the voices of the original creators. Let me begin by strengthening our first argument, the protection of original artists. Plagiarism in art is not just about replication, it is a systemic erosion of artistic dignity. When we fail to stigmatize forgery, we send a message that effort, emotion, and originality can be casually stolen without consequence. This isn't just about law, it's about principle. The stigma in this context serves as a moral compass for the artwork, ensuring respect for the authentic contribution. Secondly, allow me to extend our argument on the value and meaning of art. A major reason why people engage with art is the story behind it, the journey of the creator, the cultural context, the intention behind every brushstroke or sculpture. A copied piece cannot replicate the journey. By stigmatizing forgeries, we are preserving not just the artwork, but the legacy it represents. Without that boundary, we reduce art to mere decoration detached from the identity of its maker. Third, I like to emphasize an often overlooked victim, emerging artists. Forgers and copyists often exploit trending styles, mimicking successful artists to gain attention or profit. This overshadows upcoming talents who are trying to break through with original voices. The stigma isn't just protection for the famous, it's a shield for those still building their names, ensuring they aren't drowned out by unoriginal imitators. Now, the opposition may argue that stigmatization could discourage reinterpretation or homage, but we draw a clear line. Reinterpretation that acknowledges its source is not what we are opposing. The stigma is directed toward deception, not inspiration. Artists can build on each other's work, but transparency is key. If anything, the stigma encourages ethical practice like citation, collaboration, and respectful tribute. Lastly, in tonight's digital era, where AI generated and mass replicated images are flooding the internet, the need for stigma is greater than ever. Originality is under threat. Without social and cultural consequence, plagiarism becomes normalized. The stigma acts as a deterrent, a signal that originality still matters and that those who fake it will not be celebrated. To conclude, we ask the proposition believe that the stigmatization of copied and forged artworks is not an attack on freedom, it is a defense of integrity, fairness, and the true essence of creative expressions. If we remove the stigma, we strip art of its authenticity, its story, and ultimately its souls. Thank you.
Okay, so um, second speaker from the opening opposition times is yours.
Is it me? Hello?
Yes.
I see. Am I audible, loud and clear? Okay. I'm going to start my speech in three, two, one. Judges, from this past debate, we know that stigmatization really means wrong. Nobody have ever gave you the information of what the stigmatization and what type of copy and fraudulent that are. We're going to talk about that for. I'm as the second speaker going to give you set information. Firstly, stigmatization means that you are bad mouthing and or giving a bad name as this thing that we're going to talking about. What are we going about talking about? Firstly, we're talking about a copied or stolen fraudulent art. We're talking about something that is not original from the main artist, i.e., as a sample, probably like a copying art, a generated art made by AI, and also so on and so forth, right? Therefore, before I'm going to my argument, I have a couple of rebuttals toward the OG. Firstly, and also OG tells you that the idea of this stigmatization is so that the original artists have things that that protective blanket sort of thing, or this plan B, so that they have a chance to fight back towards this copy and fraudulent act that they do. While the opposition take the belief that yes, fraudulent and copying art is a crime, and it is going to probably giving a lot of negativity towards the original artist, we would argue about talking about the status quo of how does this contemplation for the original artist going to talk about. We're talking about DMCA. We're talking about copyright strike. How does they work, right? Certainly, they work by either A, from the company or from the industry that hold the artist, or B, in or B, from the artist in and out itself. While the government side of the house will tell you that it is fine to do so, we said no, right? Because guess what? The moment when you are inspired, the moment when you are trying to make an art about this role model of yours, it is the moment when you are going to be the small guy. It is the moment when you are the one that need the protection in and of itself. Now, imagine this: you are uh, you liking Linkin Park so much. You trying to make some music that are originated from those heavy metal, but also like energetics theme on it. Thus, while the singer or the band from the Linkin Park doesn't mind it, the music company of it could just strike you, could just DMCA you from the fraudulent uh act of fraudulent or copying, so on and so forth. Which mean what? Which mean the argument of my first speaker still stand. There is no exactly no concrete rules, and there's no concrete evidence when it comes to handling the plagiarism in and out itself. And it is quite a shame, right? Because once that we're talking about something that's shielding the original artist becomes the weapon from the cooperate to just weaponizing them, so that there's no other song that are even slightly close to the original art itself. When it comes to there's also promotes the idea of monopolization, the idea of making the art become industry. And the moment when that happens, it's going to be the worst scenario. Things are going to be so bland and going to be so one noted to the point that creativity would just die in and of itself. Therefore, I believe that in that case, unless the government side of the house would give you the mechanization towards how to make a better plagiarism, how to change the status quo, I believe that it is still okay to not stigmatizing the idea of copyright and fraudulent art itself. Secondly, we're going to about the case about copyright striking, the idea of that the original artist itself striking down this copyright. Firstly, who said that one people cannot be uh how I say this, be biased by their own work? Who could tell you that this one person just does not want any competition? I know, shocking. People would do whatever it takes so that they could have every door for themselves to begin with, right? And this is something that is extremely relevant, in the side of YouTube, so on and so forth. When you having this documentary about how I say this, like wildlife, so on and so forth. And then suddenly this other dude that are having like 1 million subscriber striking you because it is somewhat similar. Even though you do not know this guy, you have no idea about this video, so on and so forth, but you're still going to get strike because you are being deducted as copying the idea of this other dude that you do not know, but so happen to have more subscribers, so on and so forth, right? Therefore, we believe that at the end of the day, well, yes, the idea of the OG, the idea of the government side of the house is good for to shielding the original artist. The the prospect of the main issue of the problem from the opposition side of the house is not whether or not it is good or bad. It's just whether it is consistent or not, whether it is uh, that fair or not to the both side of the house. With that, I believe it is going to be so one-sided if we are still going to stigmatizing the copy and fraudulent art when it's come to the status quo that are happen right now. With that, I think enough.
Okay. Next we are going to the closing theme. So, for the first speaker from closing government, time is yours.
Okay, I'm Nazwa from the as the third speaker of government team. So the honorable audience, opposition teams, judges. The argument from the opposition team is a bit problematic because it assumes that if the artist does not know, then there is no loss. In fact, plagiarism is a wrong act in principle, regardless of whether the creator is aware of it or not. This is the same as stealing. The fact that the victim is not aware that their goods have been stolen does not make the theft legitimate or harmless. Even if the artist does not know at the moment, plagiarism still erases the authentic traces of the creator, still public recognition and damage art historical documentation. More than that, we from the government team emphasize that the impact of plagiarism is not only personal but also systemic. The public does not know who the original creator of the work is. Cultural credibility can be transferred to a more dominant party. This is not a matter of knowing or not, but of the integrity of the art system itself. Therefore, the opposition's claim actually shows why plagiarism must be rejected, because in many cases, the, the perpetrator can take advantage without being known, and precisely because not all artists can detect plagiarism, the state and the social system must take a firm stance to protect them. Art is not just an aesthetic product, but also a historical archive and cultural expression of a community. When works of art are plagiarized without proper attribution, we lose important context: who the creator is, what his cultural background is, and what message he wants to convey. Plagiarism creates a false narrative, and in the long run, this causes a distortion of art history that is passed down to future generations. Plagiarism as a form of modern cultural colonization, when artists from developed countries copy or claim works from local or developing cultures without permission, they are not just stealing copyright; they are stealing the stage, identity, and voice of those communities. This reinforces structural inequalities in the art world and shows that plagiarism is a new form symbolic colonization. The state must protect the authenticity of cultural heritage. The state must be responsible for preserving the history and values of art, not only through copyright law but also through education, fair art curation system, and an appreciation for originality. If the state allows plagiarism to occur, then the state is uh, then the state is complicit in erasing the authentic cultural traces of a nation or community. Thus, rejecting plagiarism is not only an act of protecting artists, but a concrete step towards preserving cultural diversity and the integrity of world art history. Only with a firm rejection of plagiarism can we ensure that the art world remains a fair, authentic, and representative space for all voices. Thank you.
So next, the first speaker from closing opposition, ready?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, time is yours.
Okay, thanks, judges. Good evening, all. Let me tell who I am. I'm Ryan Kasasi with student number 123510009 from Sport Engineering. I'm the first speaker from the closing opposition team, and we stand against the motion. This House regret the stigmatization of carpet or fraudulent art. And in addition to the benefits mentioned earlier for the opening opposition team, it is important to consider how imitation art improve the accessibility of art for the wider community. And now we want to talk more about why copied art is important and why copied art should not be seen as bad. First, copy art helps young artists learn. Many famous artists start by copying and works of others. By doing this, for example, in a painting, they can learn how to use colors, shapes, and technique. Copying is the way to understand art better. If we say that copying is bad, we make it harder for new artists to learn and grow. The second, copy arts allow more people to see and enjoy art. Original artworks are often very expensive and kept in museum or private collection, but copies can be placed in a school, in a library, and the public spaces. This way, everyone, not just the rich, can experience and learn from art. In some communities, copied art is the only way people can see famous works. These copies are not meant to trick anyone but to share culture and knowledge. They help people understand different history and traditions. Third, copy art can inspire creativity. When people see art, even if it's a copy, they can feel inspired to create their own works. This can lead to new ideas and styles. Without access to art, many people might never discover their artistic talents. In conclusions, we believe that copied art first help artists learn and improve. Second, make art accessible to everyone. Third, inspire creativity and cultural understanding. Therefore, we should not see copied art as something bad. Instead, we should admit its value in education, accessibility, and inspiration. Thank you.
Okay, next we are going to second speaker from closing government. Ready?
Ready, Miss.
Okay, time is yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Masara Hanifa, and I'm as closing government. Uh, I want to say that I disagree with Miss Aryan because he said that plagiarism can boost new artists to make new art, but uh, should it be plagiarism? I mean, they can use it as inspiration, but they cannot do the same thing as the other artists. Like mm, the new case in Studio Ghibli, there are so many people that use AI, but is the creator of Ghibli agree? No, he is not because he feels that it was disrespectful for him and uh, for me the mm, the rejecting art plagiarism is part of forming generation of ethical and responsible artists. And then the new artists should improve the art so they can make the better one. And they can make their identity of the art. And then mm,
the art is not just the final product, but it's a long process from the art itself. It's a research, emotion, and then even a technique. The art plagiarism ignores all that process and only take the result, and they just copying what that should be exist. And this is and I feel that this is unfair to the artists who put in the time and effort to create something unique. And then for me, by rejecting art plagiarism, we can protect the creativity of the new artist or the one who want to try to make something new, and that can make room for originality. And then we can respect the artists that really give the effort. And the art world can and for me, the art world can only thrive if we uphold honesty and integrity. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, so we are gonna move to the last speaker. Second speaker from oposisi ya sekarang ya. Second speaker from closing opposition. Ready?
Closing proposition, Miss.
I am Sharifah Nisa,
Oh, Syarifah ya.
second closing opposition. Sorry tadi close, jadi keluar sendiri. I'm gonna start my I'm gonna start in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, today we've heard a lot about the need to punish. I'm sorry, salah. Judges. Now let's talk about power. In the name of protecting art, copyright has become a weapon. It's not just about protecting the little artists. It's often the big corporations that benefit the most. Imagine this: an independent creator is accused of plagiarism by a powerful company. Even if they are innocent, they might not have the research to defend themselves. This fear stops many artists from creating at all. Instead of encouraging creativity, the system becomes a cage. We do not deny that plagiarism can hurt, but we must also see the other side. Over enforcing copyright leads to fear, silencing voice, and turning art into business only for the privileged. In conclusion, we oppose harsh stigmas and punishments. Let us build a world where creators are supported, where young learners are guided, not punished, and where copyright protects fairly, not powerful. Thank you. I'm closing my opinion.
Okay, guys, thank you. We have finished our debate tonight, so we are gonna move into the oral adjudicator. So, okay. Terima kasih ya buat teman-teman semua yang sudah bertahan di meet ini. Hanya ada 12 orang. Kita akan masuk ke sesi penilaian ataupun sesi komentar dan saran. Mungkin sebelum masuk ke saran dari aku, Aku mau kasih apresiasi dulu buat semua yang baik dari sesi 1, sesi 2 yang hari ini sudah melakukan perdebatan. Sebelum ke aku juga OA-nya, kita ke sesama dari teman-teman kalian dulu. Untuk dari siapa tadi? Dia sama Sabrina. Siapa yang mau duluan memberikan tanggapan? Pakai bahasa Indonesia boleh, bahasa Inggris boleh, bebas. Sabrina dulu boleh?
Pakai bahasa Indonesia aja ya, Miss.
Iya, boleh.
Oke. Dari aku ya. Tapi aku nggak ada pengalaman yang jago banget juga di debat, jadi ininya aku aja ya. Kalau untuk debat NUDC sendiri itu kita kan maksimalnya tadi kita kan per orang 7 menit ya. Dan berdasarkan yang aku tahu kayak akan lebih baik kalau misalkan kita itu nggak ngelewatin 7 menit itu, tapi kita memberikan argumen itu lebih dari 5 menit. Kayak di atas 5 menit tapi nggak lebih dari 7 menit gitu. Tahu kayak gitu secara keseluruhannya. Terus dari teman-teman tadi juga ada yang beberapa sebelum ngomong argumennya masing-masing itu ada beberapa yang sebelum mulai itu kayak ngomong I will start in 3, 2, 1 gitu. Itu bakal buat kita jadi lebih relax sebelum kita menyatakan pendapat. Jadi bagus kalau kita mau mulai debat, sebelum mulai debat itu ngomong kayak gitu dulu. Terus aku tadi merhatiin juga untuk opening government itu udah bagus. Dan kalau untuk opening government sendiri mungkin lebih banyak untuk membuka secara general mosinya, kayak mungkin ngasih tahu definisinya gimana terhadap topik yang dibahas itu. Terus untuk pihak oposisinya juga tadi aku lihat keren untuk pendapatnya karena bisa nyambungin ke pihak government-nya. Jadi so far aku apresiasi buat kalian semua, sudah keren. Gitu mungkin dari aku secara general untuk debat tadi seperti itu ya guys. Thank you.
Oke, itu komentar dari Sabrina. Selanjutnya komentar dari Dia. Boleh?
Sebenarnya udah bagus sih kalau menurut saya, dia orang itu tadi. Nah, pendapat kritik saran yang ingin saya sampaikan juga kebetulan udah banyak tadi disampaikan dengan si Sabrina. Jadi itu aja dari saya.
Oke, betul. Terima kasih ya buat teman-teman dari kelompok 2 yang sudah memberikan saran. Aku mau nanya dulu, kalian ada yang merasa mosi ini sangat plot twist tidak? Maksudnya, menurut kalian mosi ini tuh susah, gampang, atau kayak bikin kalian bingung sendiri gitu? Kalian di posisi apa sih sebenarnya? Ya, Mas Sarah ada.
Lebih kaget sama ini ya sih, Miss. Sama anggota tiba-tiba langsung ketuanya.
Gak ada
Lagi di
bingung.
situ.
Kalau misalnya tadi aku rangkum ya, aku nggak banyak ngerangkum sih. Karena baik di awal ketika tim opening mulai membuka perdebatan, aku langsung nge-satu bahwa argumen yang kalian sampaikan itu sebenarnya kebalik. Benar-benar kebalik. Jadi yang disampaikan sama tim government itu harusnya disampaikan sama tim oposisi. Sementara yang disampaikan tim oposisi itu harusnya disampaikan sama tim government. Jadi kalau kalian notice di pidatonya Bang Phoenix itu totally ngeri battle semua argumen yang disampaikan di awal. Tapi nggak apa-apa. Namanya kalau memang mosi penyesalan itu cukup tricky untuk kita menghadapinya. Jadi nanti kayaknya aku nggak tahu dalam minggu ke depan apa kita masih akan berada stay di topik debat atau gimana, karena memang progres dari terkhususnya untuk kelompok 2 ya terhadap debat ini, aku mulai melihat ternyata banyak dari kalian yang punya potensi untuk bisa melakukan debat, baik dari menyusun teksnya aja kalian sudah cukup bagus gitu ya, jadi punya potensi. Dan untuk yang belum, tapi kayak dari segi penyampaian aja kalian udah bagus gitu, jadi kayak setiap orang itu punya potensinya gitu. Nah, untuk mosi ini sebenarnya kan mosinya bilang this house regret stigmatization ya, berarti dewan ini menyesali adanya si stigma ini. Berarti kalian kalau misalnya kalian sebagai posisi government, kalian kan menyesal, berarti kayak di negara kalian ini udah terjadi nih kasus ini, terus kalian kayak menyesal gitu, kayak kalian kayak kenapa ini harus terjadi gitu. Jadi harusnya kalian itu kayak harusnya sebagai tim government itu kalian menyampaikan kondisi yang terjadi saat ini. Jadi status quo kalian ini misalnya lagi rame nih copy paste tentang seni gitu, kayak meniru dengan mudah gitu. Nah, berarti kalian sebagai pemerintah bilang bahwa kami nggak setuju nih sama fenomena yang lagi marak tentang copy paste seni. Kenapa? Kalian kasih tahu bahwa kasus di lapangannya seperti apa gitu. Untuk tim oposisi, kalian ngasih perbandingan kayak, loh, emang kenapa kalau di copy paste gitu? Sebenarnya tadi di awal kalian cukup bagus ya untuk stay di posisi kalian, tapi ketika berjalan di tengah itu kalian mulai melenceng gitu. Jadi tidak stay di posisi kalian seharusnya. Makanya ketika kalian melakukan mosi penolakan, dapat mosi penolakan, penyesalan, itu baiknya adalah kalian scanning dulu tuh status quo-nya seperti apa. Jadi ketika kalian bisa melihat bahwa kondisi yang terjadi di mosi adalah seperti ini, kalian susunnya status quo-nya dari kayak tersimpel yang kalian ketemu gitu. Misalnya plagiarisme itu kenapa terjadi? Misalnya karena nggak semua orang tertarik sama seni gitu misalnya. Terus kalian tarik lagi ke bawah. Kenapa orang nggak suka seni? Oh, ternyata karena bakat. Tarik lagi ke bawah. Bakat ini kenapa semua orang nggak punya bakat seni gitu. Tarik lagi, ternyata karena kemampuan. Belajar seni mahal. Tadi ada yang bilang kayak kalau kita mau tahu tentang seni yang secara original tuh mahal, itu butuh biaya yang cukup mahal. Tadi kan ada yang sampaikan. Nah, itu bisa gitu. Itu kan harusnya disampaikan oleh tim government. Ria oposisi kan? Nah, itu. Nah, kalian sebagai tim oposisi bilang kayak, loh, emang kalau misalnya nih copy paste nggak ada, emang ada jaminan copy paste bakal hilang dari muka bumi? Kan tidak ada gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya dapat motif penyesalan ini, ada baiknya setelah kalian tadi scanning status quo, kalian ngasih perbandingan gitu. Emang di government bakal sebaik apa sih? Di government punya metode apa sih untuk melawan situasi saat ini? Kalian punya solusi apa gitu? Solusi kayak mana sampai benar-benar hilang lah gitu? Atau kalian bisa menurunkan si fenomena ini sampai 50% gitu? Jaminannya apa? Apa solusinya gitu? Terus kalau misalnya kalian sebagai tim government, kalian ngasih korban-korban terparah gitu. Kalau kalian sebagai posisi government kan ngasih korban-korban terparah gitu. Kenapa kayak itu benar-benar nggak boleh, ini harus dilarang. Kalian kasih korban terparah, misalnya tentang HAM lah, tentang haki lah, itu bisa gitu. Pokoknya kalau mosi kayak gini kalian harus ngasih perbandingan dunia siapa sih yang lebih baik, dunia government atau dunia oposisi gitu. Terus juga aku mau nyampein dalam berdebat memperkenalkan diri itu wajib tidak wajib. Jadi kalau kalian mau memperkenalkan diri silahkan. Tapi kalau kalian enggak juga nggak apa-apa. Karena biasanya moderator itu bakal memperkenalkan diri kalian. Biasanya ya. Tapi itu based on kondisi lah, gimana kondisional lah itu kan. Terus benar kata si Sabrina bahwa ada baiknya kalian men-timer diri kalian sebelum mulai berbicara. Jadi kayak misalnya I will start my speech on 3, 2, 1 gitu. Itu kayak kalian jadi kayak punya safe place aja gitu, kayak kalian lebih pede karena kalian yang ngatur waktunya gitu, bukan orang lain gitu. Nah, terus juga yang tadi ya kayak kalian harus tahu status quo segala macam, itu adalah posisi-posisi yang harus kalian lakukan ketika kalian berada di awal, apalagi tim-tim opening. Kalian benar-benar harus banget nunjukin debat kita ini mau kemana, jangan kasih celah ataupun terlalu luas lah, persempit aja debatnya gimana gitu. Misalnya mau tentang plagiarisme seni di tingkat SMA gitu, atau tingkat lomba gitu, FLS 2N atau tingkat lomba lukis gitu, sempitkan aja, karena makin sempit kalian bisa membatasi suatu perdebatan, maka kemungkinan kalian akan fokus pada topik itu makin besar gitu. Jadi kalian nggak bakal melenceng-melenceng kemana, dan tim lawan kalian juga makin kayak, oh berarti kita harus cari celah yang benar-benar fokus di sini gitu. Dia nggak bakal bisa ngambil celah dari sisi lain gitu. Karena kan mosi pasti kebanyakan cukup luas ya, terlalu umum. Jadi kalian harus pandai-pandai mempersempit mosi kita ini mau dibawa kemana. Terus untuk kalau kalian perhatikan, sebenarnya pola perdebatan ini adalah kita itu punya dua kubu yang berbeda. Opening melawan opening, closing melawan closing. Tapi tapi closing tidak harus sejalan dengan opening. Jadi misalnya opening cuman bawa tentang misalnya opening bilang kayak, iya kita nggak boleh nih plagiasi karena plagiasi itu kayak salah satu sifat orang pemalas gitu. Nah, closing baik dari oposisi ataupun government bisa saja menambahkan argumen lain yang masih sejalan dengan mosi dan juga status quo. Tapi kalian bisa aja tidak setuju, bukan tidak setuju sih, bisa aja kalian kayak jadi netral aja gitu. Kalau closing ya, closing tuh bisa jadi tim netral. Kenapa? Karena balik lagi, opening lawan opening, closing lawan closing gitu. Jadi perankingannya itu ya masing-masing gitu. Perankingannya itu masing-masing kayak opening atau closing gitu yang di atas, tidak harus oposisi melawan government gitu, tidak. Jadi memang kalian berdiri berdasarkan tim kalian aja, tidak, kalian nggak harus bener melawan banget oposisi, nggak, kalian bener harus ya berdiri atas tim kaki kalian gitu. Makanya ketika case building yang harus komunikasi paling baik adalah antar kalian satu tim. Misalnya ya tim O itu kan 2 orang, tim OG 2 orang, CO 2 orang, ya ke antara kalian berdua itu yang benar-benar harus klop gitu. Itu yang menjadi penilaian juri, apakah argumen yang kalian bentuk selama case building ini benar-benar klop gitu. Itu penilaiannya. Kredit kalian sebagai suatu tim dinilai pada penyampaian argumen kalian. Apakah pembicara 1 mampu membuka dengan baik dan pembicara 2 mampu merangkum dulu apa yang sudah dibahas dari pembicara 1, di rebattle lagi ke tim oposisi sebelumnya, baru dia nambahin kredit baru, terus disimpulin sama dia. Nah, itu salah satu tricky ketika kalian menjadi pembicara kedua dalam debat. Kayak kalian harus lebih banyak menganalisa dan melayer argumen. Tapi kalau pembicara 1, kalian benar-benar harus pandai ngebuka pertama kali perdebatan gitu. Lagi ya. Nah, tadi untuk debat yang baik adalah ketika kalian bisa berargumen di atas 5 menit. Karena menurut penilaian yang ada ya, dan kayak yang beberapa artikel yang aku dengar, baik nonton juga lomba-lomba UDC dan KDMI segala macam, argumen di bawah 5 menit dianggap kurang kokoh ataupun kurang kredibel untuk mendapatkan penilaian. Jadi memang disarankan banget kalian itu bisa melakukan perdebatan dan speech di atas 5 menit. Karena ya namanya juga sudah 5 menit gitu kan, pasti yang kalian bawa udah banyak gitu, sudah berlapis-lapis dan sudah lebih baik gitu. Itu aja sih dari aku. Mungkin ada yang mau kalian tanyakan sebelum kita masuk ke sesi kuis? Iya, Sarifah boleh.
Boleh pakai bahasa Indonesia nggak, Miss? Pertanyaan saya, kalau misalkan kayak tadi ya, dari opening government-nya udah kebalik posisinya, terus kalau yang selanjutnya tetap di posisi mereka, boleh nggak? Atau harus ngikut arus opening government-nya juga?
Oke. Dalam debat, selain penilaian tim, ada juga penilaian individu. Jadi, ketika posisinya tadi sudah terbalik gitu, misalnya opening government udah kebalik total nih, nggak bisa nih dia kan. Kalian sebagai oposisi ataupun pembicara keduanya si government, itu kalian bisa kayak ngasih klarifikasi gitu loh. Kasih aja klarifikasi kayak, Dewan Juri yang terhormat, klarifikasi bahwa sebenarnya perdebatan kali ini tuh bahasnya ini. Jadi kalian jangan mau kebawa arus. Kalau kalian kebawa arus, berarti penilaian debatan kali itu 0. Bener-bener tidak ada penilaian dan kalian bisa dianggap gugur gitu. Karena ya kalian aja udah nggak bisa memaknai mosi itu seperti apa gitu. Jadi ketika kalian tahu ini salah, ya kalian berdiri dengan benar aja, jangan mau ke bawah arus gitu. Ada lagi?
Thank you, Miss.
Oke. Hmm. Oh iya, bentar. Hidup nggak sih itu? Oh iya. Guys, boleh tolong dipanggilin teman-teman yang lain, soalnya kita akan mulai kuis dan aku bakal absensinya itu sesuai dengan yang mengikuti kuis aja. Hmm?
Miss, boleh nanya yang lain nggak selain debate itu?
Boleh. Tanya aja.
Itu Miss, mau apa yang buat ngisi data di apa namanya? Lupa lagi. Archive book-nya.
Kenapa?
Yang data Miss sama data ininya. Data apa?
Oh,
Disknya.
oke. Kayaknya besok ya guys, soalnya aku kelupaan banget sumpah.
Oke Miss, siap.
Besok ya. Aku usahain malam ini punya aku dulu, besok aku mintain yang officers yang lain.
Thank you Miss.
Oke. Kalian mau soalnya banyak apa sedikit?
Sedikit.
Ya, nggak usah banyak-banyak sih. Udah tengah 9 juga.
Di kertas ya, Miss?
Apa?
Di kertas ya?
Hah? Apa? Putus-putus?
Di kertas, ditulis.
Enggak. Pakai quizzes aja.
Oke, Miss.
Ya, yang belum ada Physics, mungkin mau download atau apa? Beresin dulu ya. Hmm. Oke, 5 soal aja lah ya. Hmm. Gampang lah. Gimana nih? Oke, copy link. Hmm. Wait ya, aku kirim ke grup. Aku kirim sini nih. Nih, salah apa ya? Mari. Nggak bisa cancel, maaf guys. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, ini dia ternyata. Tadi kan yang klik linknya ketemu jawabannya nggak?
Yang mana, Miss?
Ya. Ada yang belum? Atau udah selesai semua? Udah? Update-nya udah belum? Oh, oke. Udah semua ya guys. Kita end-kan saja. Ting. Ya, siapakah ini pemenangnya? Oh, Jeremia. Ya, selamat Jere. Apakah kamu mengerjakannya dengan jujur, Jere? Oke. Cukup baik lah ya, di 86%. Padahal aku tadi mengira kalian semua bisa dapat 90%, tapi ternyata hanya 86%, nggak apa-apa. Itu sudah sangat baik. Oke. Soalnya susah atau gampang?
Ada yang susah, ada yang gampang.
Susah.
Ada yang susah, ada yang gampang.
Tapi nggak paham.
Maaf lah ya kalau susah, karena itu soalnya aku dapat dari teman-teman yang ngasih materi juga. Jadi ya begitulah hidupnya. Oke, dalam seminggu ke depan sepertinya bakal ada kegiatan euforia. Jadi buat kalian semua, kalau bisa sudah mulai stay di malam ya, mulai minggu depan. Dan kalau misalnya ada yang ingin ditanyakan, silakan aja langsung tanya di grup ataupun PC ke aku boleh. Oh ya, itu kan Ocha sakit ya. Kalian ada niat mau ngejenguk dia nggak? Atau gimana? Kalau nggak ada juga nggak apa-apa sih. Aku hanya bertanya aja. Nggak tahu sih di mana, rencananya baru mau nanya kalian dulu. Kalau misalnya kalian mau, nanti kita tentuin waktu untuk ngejenguk. Gak semua juga nggak apa-apa, yang bisa aja gitu.
WA.
Oke. Mungkin nanti aku bakal tanya dulu ke Ocanya, atau mungkin Rian boleh tanyain ke Ocanya. Kayaknya dia anak asrama deh, kayaknya ya. Kalau misalnya di asrama ya kita ke asrama aja kan gitu. Selain ngumpul-ngumpul juga. Oh ya, uh, untuk pemenangnya ini yang 3 tadi, kalian lihat nggak siapa tadi pemenangnya itu, 3 orang itu? Jere, Melva, Sabrina. Nanti di pertemuan yang offline, ingin aku bakal ada hadiah buat kalian, dan seterusnya kita bakal ada kayak gini terus. Tiap pertemuan itu bakal kita kasih kuis dan hadiah juga supaya kalian makin semangat. Itu aja sih. Makasih banyak ya guys buat hari ini, udah jam 9 malam juga. Besok udah kuliah, semangat. Semangat ya terus ya. Semoga bertahan sampai akhir. Bye-bye. Teman, screenshot dulu. On cam semua guys. Oke, karena nggak banyak. Zaidan nggak mau on cam, Zaidan. Syafira, Refsa. Oke, ya bebas lah, nggak apa ya. 1, 2, 3. Lagi 1, 2, 3. Oke guys, terima kasih banyak. Mohon maaf ya kalau misalnya ada salah-salah kata. Semoga kalian tetap semangat. Bye-bye, selamat tidur.
Thank you,
Thank you so much,
Miss.
guys.